This is going to be hard to keep to an hour.
Yeah. Welcome everyone to an exciting episode of the Average Ontario Anglers Fishing Podcast. And this is going to be an exciting episode for a couple different reasons. First of all, you can't see us. This is only audio. And that's because Jesse and I are together in his studio, aka a cramped bedroom that has been repurposed into storing a bunch of open fishing hooks and rods.
It's true.
The second reason why this is an exciting episode, and kind of some, I know for some might be sad news, it's the end of the year, end of the season. We are coming back again for next season, so don't be too sad about it. But we thought, as tradition states, we're going to do another kind of best of episode from clips from a variety of episodes throughout this past season of stuff that Jesse and I think are some of the highlights. Some things we honestly just asked ChatGPT, said, what was our best thing in the podcast? And it said, this is your most popular episode. We said, okay, we'll take something from there.
Yeah, it's true.
But we're going to be showing some of those and kind of doing a bit of, not so much commentary on top, but we'll share some of what we liked about those little clips as well. But to start things off, we have an interesting fishing fact. The fact is, there's no interesting fishing fact. We're jumping right in.
My heart was pounding there.
Jesse's like, I didn't prepare. But our first episode is actually from one of our I think it was our highest rated or listened to episode.
Of all time.
Of all, not just last year, of all time. And that's with our good friend, Brian. Hey, Bri.
Hey, Bri.
Yeah. And we're talking about some walleyes. So let's give a listen to this clip. So on lakes, is there a difference between, let's say, like a shallow, like mid-sized lake to, let's say, a deep, cold lake? Is it still kind of the same stuff, making sure you find that current and just finding those adjacent structures
yeah,
to it?
it still applies, right? Like, again, in the deeper water, you can eliminate a lot of that water because, I would stay anywhere from that 30 foot and up. 20 foot's a pretty sweet spot for that, especially if it's a hump that comes out of deep water access that comes up. They're going to probably be around those humps and just sitting there. And another good tip is, especially at that time, all the smallmouth that pretty much occupy all that stuff, like throughout the summer, are busy up shallow, either on a bed spawning or just shallow feeding. So you might, whack into a couple of smallmouth here and there. But from what I've experienced, a lot of those areas are really populated. Like those walleye really take advantage of that and sit there and eat all that bait until the smallmouth are done spawning and kind of come in with them. So
They're bullies, though, so they'll kick them right out of there.
Get out of here. This is mine. God darn walleyes.
But when do they start feeding? Is there prime times for feeding still? Like, being this early in the season, are they really concerned about, the evening bite, or is it kind of
I think
whenever?
walleye will always bite in the evening or early mornings. For me, I personally like the evening bite for that, just because walleye have the eyes to absorb a lot more light than most fish, right?
So as the spring gets a bit further on, then what do they start doing? Like, do they stay on these same structures?
Yeah, they'll transition to some deeper water off the humps and stuff, like especially in those deeper, colder lakes. They'll like kind of sit below it and move up eventually. But in the shallower stuff, like especially if it's a lake that's say 30 feet deep or 35, 40 foot deep, and there's just full of weed, they will just roam those weed lines up and down constantly. Now they do get a little lethargic as the summer goes on, but like usually in the springtime, like post spawn, like they're really aggressive. Like when you guys went out with me, like we hopped 3 lakes. We ran out of time because I was like, I wanted to go to this one spot. And the next day I went there and threw a jerkbait over like 5 feet of water over like a grass, like a weed flat. And I whacked probably, I think it was like a 29 and a half. And there was like a couple other 28s. It was an insane day I've ever had. I was like,
and Jesse was really trying to get a walleye on a jerkbait too, and he couldn't all day, and then he just nailed it.
I know, I felt so bad. I'm like, oh god. I'm like, we should have went here.
I chucked the jerkbait and I caught an out of season smallmouth, an out of season musky, and a pike on it. No walleye. And then the next day, Brian spanks the walleye on a jerkbait.
Yeah, if you guys can actually see, I actually brought some baits here, but this is a smaller mid-diving jerkbait. This is actually a Mega Bass Vision 110 Junior. So this dives a little bit deeper, but I was throwing it on a spinning rod just because it's smaller. It's nicer to do that than on a bait caster with fluorocarbon, but it was perfect. Also, you can do it on your Vision 110, like your perch colors and stuff like that work too, but it's a fun bite when you get into going on a jerkbait, either even going into, we'll probably talk later about techniques and stuff, but especially with forward facing sonar now, and you can really get that bait really deep, and then it's patience, but it's really fun.
Going into some of that we touched a little bit in the tackle for the spring then, but what about your rods and reels? Like, do you ever use bait cast? First of all, do you ever use bait casters while doing stuff like this?
So if I'm fishing like those deeper walleyes that are on like those humps that are in like say 20, like either off a weed edge, I will throw like a +2 jerkbait on a bait caster. So the bait caster, like I'll throw it on pure fluorocarbon because I can cast that thing pretty far. But the whole point with having fluorocarbon is that fluorocarbon sinks. So when you throw it about 110 feet, and you give it a couple jerks back, and then you let it sit there for a bit, that fluorocarbon will sink and actually pull that bait down farther. And I've got those. I have gotten jerk baits down to 25 feet of water. It takes a lot of patience, but that's probably the only application I'll throw a bait caster, mostly for walleyes, mostly on jerk baits. But they will work on shallow too. But mostly everything else is all spinning rods. Hair jigs, swim baits, Ned rigs, like you can get away with the 7-foot medium rod on either a 2500 or 3000 size reel on 10-pound braid. Most of my rods are all set up like that anyways. Sometimes with the swim baits, like if I'm being really technical, like if you're in the wind and you're throwing a 1/8 3-inch paddle tail, I do have 7/6 medium light rods that are a little bit more moderate, but that's just more to get that extra little distance. And throwing it on a bigger reel, like a 3000, I feel like you can get that extra little 10 to 15 foot difference. Make sure it's fully spooled. And a tip for that is spool it with old model filament, at least half like either just under half, and then do the rest of it with your braid, and your braid will go a long way too. And to make sure it's actually full. Because sometimes you put 10-pound braid on and it only fills like half of the reel, and you're just like, well, it's not coming off right. But if you can pre-spool it, even if it's a quarter of the amount, like your braid will go a long way.
Yeah, so Brian Johnston, Halliburton Fishing Guide, an absolute hammer of an angler, absolute beast. We had the pleasure of fishing with him for walleye, and he put on an absolute clinic. Actually wasted us.
Oh, no. Correction. He whacked him.
Yeah. He'd always be like, oh, boys, man, I whacked a bunch of fish. He was actually pretty funny. We were fishing, and he's, think about it what you like, but he's a weapon with live scope. Mm-hmm. And he would oftentimes see a bunch of fish and literally drop a ball head jig on top of a fish's head and then be like, doink. So it was pretty funny. When we recorded this episode with Brian, he was actually in Florida. He usually goes to Florida for I think like a month or two in the winter, and he's fishing down there for big largemouth and stuff. So we were talking about walleye. He was getting all excited, and I remember the whole time he had like a hole in his sock. Remember that?
Yeah. He kept like playing with this hole in the sock like the whole time.
Yeah, he's just like, hey, and he pulled his foot up and showed us. I was like, yeah, we're gonna have to cut that out. That's so. Do you have any memories about fishing with Brian?
Besides having a blast, like I don't know if you have ever danced in. Like on stage, like I don't mean like dancing on a stage. I just mean like being visible, like in the center of like the circle of friends dancing. That's what it's like fishing with Brian, because he'll just be like dancing on the deck. And I remember just dancing with him, and Jesse's just shaking his head. He's like, "Who am I fishing with today?" And we're like, "Woohoo!"
He's high energy for sure. So
absolutely,
I know we're definitely going to get him on again on the podcast next year. But if you are looking to have an absolute fun but also full of learning day on the water for any species. He does musky, bass, pike, walleye, everything. Definitely give Brian Johnston a call. And again, we're going to link everything down in the show notes before. And also every episode that we're going to play parts of on this episode, it's all going to be linked below. So if you maybe missed that episode, definitely check them out.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we're going to be looking at a clip from talking with Matt Martin, and he talking about a weapon on the water.
Yeah.
This guy as
He's
well.
fishy.
He is. He also has great selection in boats.
Yeah.
I know. I own one of his now.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was amazing. We got to fish them for a bit as well this year. But this is a clip from the episode, and we're talking about literally fishing for dinosaurs.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, really interesting, this guy's knowledge on this stuff. Gar are the closest thing to a dinosaur besides crocodiles and alligators. Like those things.
Not far off. I mean, they lived with them.
Oh, they're so cool.
I mean, there's fossilized remains. There are prehistoric fish like them and bowfin, and then the lungfish in Australia. They're considered prehistoric fish that are fossilized and they are still alive. So crazy. But when you look at them, and more importantly, when you touch them, you realize they're a weird fish. Like when you land a gar and you know how you like, well, behind a pike, you can grab them by the shoulders and pick them up if they're under 32, 33 inches, easy to kind of do. Same thing with gar, but when you grab them, their skin is not like any other fish scale you've touched. They're not slimy. A lot of people are like, oh my God, they're going to be super slippery. Their scales are like textured. It's like they're like sandpaper when you grab them. So
it's kind of like walleye. Like walleye are a bit more grippy.
Kind of like walleye, but they still have walleye are sticky. You grab them and you're like, oh, I got it. Like it's not going to flip out of your hand like a pike or a trout, for instance. The trout, like the most slippery fish ever. But you're right, kind of like walleye. But the difference is when you grab them, the armor plating is so solid. Like you feel like you could squeeze that fish with everything you had, and there'd be no way you could hurt it. Like I don't know. The closest thing to like grabbing a shark or like a shark skin on a piece of metal. Like they're so solid. Like you can't squeeze them. And you can. That's a great way to land them. Just grab them behind the head. While they don't have like serrated teeth that will cut like line and stuff, they will swing their head around quite wildly when you grab them, and they can puncture waders and they can puncture your skin. That whole type of fish, prehistoric fish, has quickly become a large portion of my guide business. I probably do a combined total of 30 trips a year for gar, carp, and bowfin. Like that's wild, which is great because in late May when the pike have kind of disappeared deep until bass opener, like well, I mean, we could go walleye fishing for sure. We go musky fishing once it opens in third Saturday of June up here, or go to the Cortes earlier. But like gar provide so many shots. It's nuts.
When gar fishing, I've only ever seen them like you just see them. That's it. You drive by and just see it. Yeah. Is that how you like? Is it all just sight fishing? Is that how you target them and locate like, in a bay and sight fish?
For me, it's all sight fishing. Basically, what I do is I'll take people, I'll book a pike trip, for instance, and it's towards the end of May, and you get on the water, and it's bluebird, flat calm, water temps are hot, and you're like, this is going to be tough. So you go pike fishing for a little bit. You might catch a few deeper water, 12, 15 feet of water type thing. But then you look at them and you're like, do you want to go try something different? Let's fish for what's probably best today. And you go into these back bays, like in those same spots, mind you, that we pike fished. In the early season, in the first week of the season, that is going to be your gar spot once late May, early June rolls around. The bottom is mucky. You get into those back bays, all of a sudden the water temperature is 72, 75, and it's like late May. You're just in such skinny water, and like a foot of water. Your trolling motor is overheating because it's wrapped in weeds, and like it just shuts down randomly. Because mine does that all the time. Like you're like, oh yeah, I smell a little bit of hot plastic. Like that smell you get when you're probably working your motor a little too hard. Yeah, so you got to like be careful. I did catch one trolling motor on fire last year doing that. The plug, like I can't remember the brand, whatever it was, the connection was obviously a little loose and there was some resistance, and all of a sudden it just started smoking like crazy. And yeah, it was a little rough. But I learned from that. I just hardwired now. There's no more plug. No, there's no more issue. So the gar are going to be right up in the shallows. I'd be lying if I didn't say the best way to catch them is with fly tackle. Definitely. People will be like, oh yeah, you mean the rope fly. And I'm sure people have heard of the rope fly. There's no hook. It's unbraided nylon rope. Usually I used to do a lot of rock climbing and still climb a little bit. I have a couple that are retired, and I just cut the rope into like 6-inch lengths and take that inner core, that white nylon core out, and I tie on a few strands and then take a dog brush and brush the heck out of it just to make it like a tangled mess. But when they get wet, they actually look a lot like a nice streamer. Like you put on some stick-on eyes and an epoxy head, and it's great. And half the time you're throwing them to a gar and out of nowhere, and out of season smallmouth smokes it because it looks so good. But like there's no hook. So it's kind of like, well, yeah, cool. Hit it all you want, right? You're not going to get
Nice
hooked.
try.
Yeah, which can be a pain in your butt when you do go gar fishing and bass is open and a 5-pound smallmouth or largemouth comes up and eats it and there's nothing you can do. For gar, the biggest thing you have to get excited about is the eat. Like the way they engage on a fly or a super shallow running jerk bait or a shallow running like wake bait is really good for them too. Again, treble hooks, right? You cast at them, maybe if they're sitting there, you have to identify which end is the head for one, which is kind of hard, easier said than done. If you see spots and like a fan-shaped tail, well, obviously that's the tail. You know, the head's probably 4 to 5 feet away from that. You want to aim past them, about 8 to 10, 12 feet past them, and aim maybe 1 to 2 feet in front of them. So when your lure or your fly lands, you don't spook them. They're very sensitive. Often their fins are out of the water. They're right on the surface. And you want to retrieve that bait past their nose. And as it comes past them, you're going to watch them rotate and they're going to like spin their fins and they're going to get all excited and then they start following. And as they follow, just like a muskie, you kind of want to start speeding it up and twitching it and doing crazy things to make it like look really injured. A gar is a weird fish. They don't eat with the tip of their snout too much. They'll slash at baits with it, try to injure the minnow if it's a real minnow. I've seen them like blitz bait fish in a back bay and they're like bait fish jumping everywhere and they're almost like a marlin swinging their bill around. It's crazy. But they'll swat at your bait, and if they're really going to eat it, their eye is located about 12 to 14 inches from the tip of their mouth, right? Like it's a weird fish. They'll swim right up and put that eye right next to your lure or your fly, and then out of nowhere, it's like a mousetrap reaction. They swing sideways and they bite it. Like it's so fast. It's like you can't clap your hands faster than the way they eat.
Had an absolute great time recording with Matt multiple times this year. In 2025, we recorded with him in the spring. We talked all about steelhead. Nothing from that episode made it onto this episode, but that was a great episode.
Yeah, not that it wasn't a good episode. It's just we were really choosy with this one.
Yeah, I really like this episode. Was called The Art of Multi-Species Angling because Matt Martin, like we said, it's like an art to him. Like fishing to him is like a science. He's super good at it, and he's super fishy. He understands it. Like when we went fishing with him, it's like one of those weird moments when you realize that your guide is like at one with nature. And he got us on some giant pike, like absolute giant pike. But after listening to this episode, I really wanted to go for gar this year, but we didn't end up going.
It's one of those things when you listen to Matt, he is, like you were saying, he's almost clinical in how he can describe like, this is going to happen and then this, and they're going to do this. Like he's so knowledgeable about these things and he's very good at conveying and teaching you that information.
Yeah.
But it's when you think of like, oh, fishing for dinosaurs, it's these things, they're velociraptors you have to outsmart. And there's so many times, like he was saying too, that it can be so frustrating. Like I know just the most quoted line I would have if I was fishing, for gar or for these things is just going to be getting a swipe or missing a fish and just saying, "Clever girl."
Yeah. And just to add to that, you're absolutely right. Matt he's an awesome angler, but he's an even better teacher. Like the guy's a legit fishing teacher. Again, if you are looking to book a trip with Matt, we had a great day. Well, Andrew was sick, but that's another story.
I was chumming the waters.
Yeah.
Nothing to do with his driving. It was awesome.
But that wasn't the first time Andrew will throw up off the side of the boat, and it won't be the last.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, but definitely give Matt a call or go on his website to book a day for 2026 because he does guiding for absolutely everything. He does steelhead fishing, he does float fishing, fly fishing, carp fly fishing, like a lot of stuff that's specialized. Like he does gar, pike, walleye, smallmouth. He caught over 50-inch muskie on a fly rod this year.
Yeah.
Like the guy,
it's his PB muskie, and he caught it on fly. Yeah, like that's amazing. He also does ice fishing now too, and he's knowledgeable about that as well. So hit him up if you're listening to this now. It's hard ice season is now too.
Yeah, and just to be a little bit of a teaser, our next episode 1 in 2026 actually is Matt Martin talking all about ice fishing. So that's a bit of a teaser. So this next episode was one of our top episodes of 2025 for obvious reasons. I mean, I was actually pretty shocked that this guy actually wanted to come on the podcast. We have met him a few times. He's a super chill guy. What's his name, Andrew?
Jay Siemens.
Yeah. What would you say would be maybe your first good story or experience fishing out of a small craft?
I picked up a little 12-foot aluminum. I'm trying to think where I even found it on Kijiji or something like that. And it was a little bit leaky, but the freedom that boat gave me it was phenomenal. I'd done so much shore fishing. I'd fished in other people's boats, but I just remember getting that first boat. It just unlocked so much, right? You can get, what people don't realize is you can get more places with a small vessel than you can with a big vessel. I love my 20-foot Alumacraft. That thing is like my dream boat, but I do a lot of fishing on my Old Town kayaks too. And especially where I'm at, there's so many lakes that don't have boat ramps, or the boat ramps really suck. And it's like, you can get into all these places with a canoe, with a 12-foot aluminum. So I'm thinking like my first couple trips was just, it was in Manitoba with my dad, just trying to catch new species of master anglers. And it might have been Western Manitoba, some of the stock trout lakes. The thing too is there's lakes that are electric only. So I can remember a couple of those lakes where I couldn't have a gas motor anyway. So like, I never had a gas motor for that thing. I just had a 55-pound thrust trolling motor and a big lead acid in the back. And, maybe we'd have a second one in there because we wouldn't know how long it was going to run. But yeah, it was being able to fit it in the back of the truck. I remember it was like my boat, and I borrowed my parents' truck, and it would fit perfectly hanging off the back of the bed. And I remember a lot of adventures with me and a buddy, just anywhere we could dump it in. And we never got into trouble with it, because it was just like, you know your limitations. Like, we're not going to go out on the Great Lakes in it. We're going to stay on smaller lakes, or if we go on bigger lakes, we're going to wait for better weather. But it was just that freedom right off the start,
Definitely. Remember, Andrew, the first year we got your boat? Like, we've been fishing out of canoes and kayaks since the beginning, since we were young kids. But long story short, we found this old piece of junk 14-foot tenor in this old lady's backyard, and we ended up bartering for it. So we didn't even pay for it, like traded a bunch of stuff, and we pulled it out of her yard, and it had some big gashes on it. Remember that?
Yeah, like 8-inch gashes. You could see light right through it. Like,
yeah.
Oh man.
So we propped that up in my workshop at work. My boss is like, there's this wall that only goes up 8 feet, and he'd see like 8 feet of the boat just sticking up. And he's like, what the heck is that? I'm like, I'm just going to leave this here for a few months. And then we slowly worked on it. We tore everything out of that thing. We grinded everything and cleaned it out. There was literally like a family of raccoons living in it earlier, I'm pretty sure. All the foam was just like in pieces.
Yeah. All the wood is obviously like rotted. It had been sitting for over a decade in a backyard.
Oh yeah.
Man.
On top of that, sitting elsewhere before then, like it just wasn't used.
But remember that first day getting out in the boat, just flying around.
It was wicked because the motor on, like, it was, especially with no bare bones, we didn't have the deck on or nothing either that I put on later. So it's just seats, transom.
Speed, yeah.
Oh, the thing just is flying. And it's a John boat. It's a flat bottom too, right?
With a 20 horse.
Yeah.
Two-stroke.
Two-stroke. So it just pops out of the hole, and you're just flying across. In calm water, that thing is a blast. Any chop, though, it's a little, uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I think we hit about 40 kilometers an hour in that boat.
Yeah.
And it's painful. Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, it slaps.
But being in that and like fishing, we're standing up, we're fishing, we're sitting in the seats, casting around. We can lean over and lip the bass without risk of, we got to make sure we're not going to tip the canoe. It's a lot more enjoyable to fish out of a craft like that than a canoe when you can,
Yeah, it was definitely a game changer. I know from looking and watching your channel for a long time, you fish out of a lot of different stuff. You probably fish in almost everything, really. The main things that kind of bumped out at me was like little tin boats, but as well as sit on top kayaks. Like, I know you're fishing out of the Old Town kayaks, which I'm hoping to get next year. I didn't tell anyone.
Nice.
He's going to buy me one, but the pedal drive. But depending on the situation, what would be your choice of craft for fishing different bodies of water for someone that has small crafts?
Yeah, like I think kayaks can be good for shallow water, but really like I said, back to, your boat ramps and that sort of stuff, you can tackle huge water in your kayak, but I think where it excels is getting to that small water where other people can't get to, right? So getting into those back bays and sort of areas that you just can't get with a big boat. Another thing too is like lakes that have, motor restrictions as well. That's another beauty of the whole kayak thing. But I think a whole rabbit hole we can go down is it's a lot easier to put a kayak on the roof of a vehicle than it is to put a tin boat on the roof of a vehicle too. So that's another part of the conversation too, with how you're able to get your boat or kayak around. I think, as far as choosing between vessels, boat's nice because you can have a little more gear. You can fit maybe multiple people in it. But kayak too, you kind of have that freedom of doing your own thing, right? So if I'm fishing a lake and I want to split up with my buddies and we want to cover water, that's been fun where we'll have multiple kayaks and I'll be like, yeah, I'm going to go this way, you're going to go that way. Or if we're filming something and cameraman Brandon's in another kayak, like that works really good too, rather than, potentially being in the same one. There are 2-person kayaks out there. for me, when I'm thinking about what lake I'm going to in my kayak, it's like, what lake are people not getting big boats into? Because some of these trails I go down, I would not want to pull any sort of trailer. So it's like either you get a boat that fits in the back of your truck or on top, or it's kayaks that fit in the bed of your truck. So there's a handful of lakes that I'm like, yeah, I'm never launching a boat there. And they're awesome fishing because they're just not getting much pressure. I mean, there's the whole I've never been there, but the whole Boundary Waters in southern Ontario there. I think it's like near Fort Francis, east of there, on the border. It's called the Boundary Waters, but it's like canoe only water. And that's like amazing fishing down there. I get told all the time I need to go down there and film some videos, but it's like basically motorless area, and it definitely keeps the area pristine and the fishing pressure off.
There's one lake that me and Andrew like to fish, and it's canoes only or kayaks, like no electric motors, no gas motors, nothing like that. And the fishing there has been consistently good. Like, not amazing, but consistently good. Every time you go, you're going to catch 25, 30 bass easily in that lake because no one fishes it. Like, and people that generally are going there to paddle around, they're like, well, why would I waste my time paddling around here when they could drive up the road to another lake that has a launch, right? So you have to think, like, lakes like that, it's a little more annoying. You gotta paddle, or you gotta pedal your kayak, but the fishing can be absolutely insane.
As soon as there's a boat ramp, it just opens the doors up for so much. I can think of a lot of examples where there's, public boat ramps versus not public boat ramps, and the lake might be right beside each other, and the one without the public boat ramp is just consistently better.
Yeah, he's an awesome guy too to have on the podcast and to listen to. I know Jesse was almost blushing when he found out that he was going to be on the podcast. He's like, guess who I have?
Yeah. It's pretty funny because oftentimes people ask for a guest. They're like, oh, you should get this guy on the podcast. You should get this girl on the podcast. And I'm like, I'll do my best. Cause like, you have to think, like, when you ask someone to go on the podcast, we're not paying them. Mm-hmm. They have to come on the podcast, spend a few hours out of their day. And like, you have to think, like, everyone's busy, but like Jay's super busy. He's got a lot going on. Yep. So we saw him at a fishing show, and we were talking to him. He's actually, if you ever see Jay at a fishing show, talk to him. He's a super down to earth guy. Oh, such a nice guy. Anyway. So I was just like talking to him, and we started talking about the podcast, and then he was like, yeah, I'll come on your podcast. And I was like, it's happening. But he was just so chill and laid back to talk to. It was a great experience for me anyway.
And if you've seen some of his videos online, he does a wide range of stuff from kayaks, like he's saying here, fishing on a small craft. I mean, it's true. Like, the stars are just like us.
Yeah.
But he admits himself there are some advantages to having a small craft. No matter what you have, to get out there on the water, there's something that you can do to make sure you're using it to the best of your ability. And this is a good reminder. I mean, he also has some really nice boats that we would dream to have, but he also enjoys fishing out of the small ones too.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we did talk to him, and he said that he would come on again next year. So we'll see what we can do.
But our next episode, our next little clip that we have here, is another awesome one we had a lot of good feedback on.
Yeah. And if you have never been to this store, like we said in the episode, it is illegal not to visit this store if you are in Peterborough, Ontario. And if you're not in Peterborough, Ontario, or in that area, make sure you check out their website. They have, I'd say it's one of the best selection of high-end bougie bass fishing tackle in all of Canada.
It's apparently also illegal to leave there without spending at least $60.
Yeah, guaranteed. Yeah. So this is the episode where we talk to Travis from Tackle Bros. So check out this tip.
Okay, so when I do topwater, there's one brand and one brand only. Now, sometimes I'll, go outside a little bit, but the bulk of my fishing is in Teckle. So Teckle only produces topwater baits. The owner, Hideki, is actually a really good friend of mine, and I've actually got to spend a lot of time fishing with him and like learning how each bait is supposed to properly work. So I have a little bit of an advantage with the Teckle just because of that. But if I could only pick one, I would pick the honker frog. So I'll open it up so you guys can see it. All the frogs from him are unique, and they all serve like a very specific purpose, including that sprinkler frog that you were talking about earlier. I have a cool story about that if you guys want to hear it.
No, we're not big on stories in this podcast.
Yeah, so I'll tell you the story while I'm opening this because I'm terrible at opening packages. So essentially, I asked him why he made the sprinkler frog. He's a very big fan of the river to sea whopper plopper, but he found that, when there's grass around, it would just get caught up in the trebles. right? Which makes sense. So he essentially created a whopper plopper that was completely weedless so that when the grass was up, he could still throw his favorite style of bait. So that's why the sprinkler exists. But this is the honker frog. So the first thing you're going to notice is it has 2 metal legs in the back. How most people will fish this is they'll just wake it back. But the actual way that I've seen Hideki fish it and I fish it is you kind of bring this into like little pockets and then you shake it a bit. And that makes these legs click together, obviously to attract fish. But it kind of is like a bluegill clicking sound. Have you ever heard bluegill click?
Yeah.
So that's what this is designed to do. It gives that little bluegill click. There's also a flash in the water, so it's an attractant. But if you do that, you work this into a little hole and you shake it there for a minute, you'll get bit. Like it's my confident frog by a long shot.
I foresee myself getting poor at the end of this episode.
Start writing your list up, Andrew.
I have a sprinkler frog and I bought it last fall, so I haven't used it yet, but I'm excited for that. Well, is it on sale? It was end of season, so I got it on sale.
That is cool. I have heard the bluegill clicking. Usually when you're going around lily pads or whatever, and it's going to be a good bed when you hear that little kissing noise. The little bluegills underneath the surface eating the bugs, and they're not kissing because fish don't kiss each other generally, but
just fishermen kiss fish.
So that's cool.
Honker is definitely like if I could only have one frog, honker frog for sure.
All right, I am actually going to buy that. I'm regretting doing this podcast already. This is gonna get expensive.
It'll be pricey by the end of it.
That's okay.
From there, staying in Teckle, do you guys fish a lot of cheese?
Yes, sir. Cheese mats, slop, and poop.
Okay, so this is a cool one. This is called the Morocco. It's the same frog profile. A lot of the frog profiles are the exact same, like the actual body of the frog, but all the action and changes are back here. So this one, if you're fishing over the cheese, you can't get anything into it, right? You don't really want to. This has a little Morocco on the back. So essentially, this is what is going to be used to call up the fish. I've seen this work in open water, but it is really, really special when it gets, that super matted up, cheesy top. They explode on this thing. So if I was doing that style of fishing, I like to go with this guy.
That's cool.
That is cool because sometimes, when they're underneath all that slop, you got to get them a little jiggly. And, there's all those modifications. They're like, oh, you cut the frog open, you put some bells and stuff. It's like, ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, you just got it on the back now with this one.
That's cool.
Yep. So that'd be another one. Another one, like I was just saying, sprinkler frog, like open water fishing a sprinkler frog or in, I like to fish it in more sparse grass, like where it's not so choked up. Sprinkler is really, really tough to beat, man. Like it's probably the number one Teckle frog. And then like if I'm going classic frog, I'm just going whacker. Whacker's just the standard silicon skirting frog, what you're used to. These work super easily. It doesn't take like a lot of input. Like they're pretty user friendly. Some frogs can be difficult to sort of get that walk side to side. It has a beautiful action and it's just really light rod taps and they get absolutely smoked.
That's honestly was one of my favorite episodes of the year. Just because, again, we're not super bougie, but we're a little bit bougie, right, Andrew?
I have become more and more bougie. I went up to that store actually later on in the year, and part of that episode we were talking about, I can't remember if it was I might have just talked to him after the fact too, because we often talk to our guests after the podcast.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really love, this one bait. I want to get something, but I know they're discontinued it. So what can I do? He's like, have you tried the bent minnow? So I went back there and I bought a bent minnow. And again, it's a bougie topwater, but I am so pumped to use it next year.
Yeah. That place, I always say to people, I'm like, listen, if you're not into buying $30 jerk baits or whatever, just go into the store and walk around. Mm-hmm. You may find something that not everything is super, super expensive, but just to look around, it's a really cool place just to look around because there is some weird stuff in there. And you'll pick up a fishing rod and be like, wow, this is cool. And it'll be like $1,300. You're like, oh, mama. To be fair, there are reasonably priced gear there as well.
Yes.
But they do have a huge selection of high-end stuff. And a lot of the lures, I 100% recommend. Go back to that episode. Go to the link in the show notes that I'm going to put below. And all of the lures that Travis talked about for bass fishing for Ontario bass, and it would obviously be applicable to a lot of places as well. We linked all of those baits. Mm-hmm. And you can check them out. I think there was like 50 baits in that, 50 links of that. And I actually had someone mention to me on YouTube and they were like, listen, I know it's a lot of work for you to find the links to all the products that you guys talk about, but he was saying that he really appreciated it because he actually goes through and he likes to look at the baits that we're talking about because he listens to the audio version. So definitely it is a little bit of work, but we like doing it because we like to look at the baits too. We can describe it as good as we can on audio, but unfortunately sometimes you got to see it. And unfortunately when you see it, what happens, Andrew? Sometimes
you buy it.
Yeah.
As a pro tip though, if anyone listens to that episode and takes a look at all those baits that Jesse has linked, any one of those in any amount and most colors, we would lovingly accept as a gift. So
yeah, those are not affiliate links.
But yeah, that was a very tackle forward episode, and again, I loved it too. I love, if you are looking for something unique, that is a great place to look for it. But kind of moving on to our next little clip here, it's kind of a, how do you describe it? Maybe a crappier subject.
Yeah,
we're talking with Bobby Belmonte from 2B Guiding Services, and we've had him on a couple times, but this is a good little clip from him.
This literally is a masterclass in Ontario crappie fishing. Watch Magic School Bus. We don't tell you guys to do much, but do that.
Yeah, if you haven't seen that episode, it's worth a YouTube.
If Bobby had to be a character on Magic School Bus, who would he be?
Carlos.
No. Ralphie.
I always liked the little chameleon dude.
Okay, you can be Liz.
Yep. All right, great tangent. I actually really liked that, but we're going to move on. So talking about locating the crappie now. So more about structure and whatnot. So in early spring, like they are, again, deeper water. They're off the spawning flats. They're close to drop-offs, channels. Kind of, like you said, staging to get into these bays, right?
Yeah.
With those cold temperatures, would you recommend, like what kind of presentations do you like to recommend for kind of that pre-spawn? Yeah, just kind of staging in. What do you recommend to use?
So a lot of the times when they're in that pre-spawn is when I'm in that searching mode too. I'm trying to dial in what areas they're using on a given year. I love there's two baits that I throw a lot. One's a small jerk bait. I use a few different kinds, but we're talking like a 70, 80 millimeter small X-Wraps. There's a Mega Bass one that I use, which I filmed a video that I'm going to talk about it soon here. It's the X70 by Mega Bass.
I've been looking at that in the store. I want to pick that up for VFS.
It's a super nice bait, man. Yeah. And they have the same action as a Vision 110, but it's a slow float model too, which is great for cold water because basically you just throw it into, twitch it down into that zone that dives down to, I think it goes only about 4 feet or so, 4 or 5 feet when you're fully retrieving it, and then kill it. And it just, comes up like that. And if you're actually on the school of crappies and you kill it right in the school of crappies and it starts floating up, I've dummied them on that bait before. It's awesome. But yeah, small jerk baits, another one, micro crankbaits, another thing that not a lot of people use. Again, I do like my Japanese ones, the Mega Bass ones that I've used in the past, the little griffins, they're called. Those ones are cool. They're like a little fat crankbait and you can buy them that go, different depths, but same kind of thing. They are slow float. So you kill them, certain models, of course. You can buy the slow float and I think non-slow float, normal suspending and stuff. But the slow float models, you kill them and they just kind of slowly start to come up, and that's awesome for crappies. So those two are usually when I'm using pre-spawn because I'm trying to locate the areas. And once you find an area that they're in pre-spawn mode, they're usually kind of all balled up together in a lot of the cases. Now on Rice Lake and, Scugog, it's a little bit different because you're dealing with a lot shallower crappies. But on lakes like Sturgeon and lakes like that have deeper water, they'll all be in a big ball kind of, or big, pod swimming around on the break or in the shallow before they get right up into the flat, say 6-7 feet. And it's a lot of fun to use those baits when they're like that. But some days, if they're not aggressive, like if you get cold front days that come in and the water temperature drops, sometimes you have to pick up a float, find out what depth you got to get that bait at. Maybe you got to really downsize too. Like that, there's some days, I'm sure you've seen it when you've been ice fishing before, where big fish will bite things that are so small. With crappies, it's the same kind of deal. When they're lethargic in the spring, put on a super small my buddy Griffin is great at this because he will just like mess with weird stuff when we're fishing. So he'll just start ripping his plastics apart and threading little chunks of whatever on his hook. Next thing you know, he's catching more fish than me. And sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. Most of the time it doesn't. But and he knows that.
Yep.
But it's okay because he's ripping your plastic baits apart, so it doesn't matter.
Sometimes he does, yeah. Sometimes.
I'm surprised you're talking about like active like search baiting, but like you said, like stopping it, letting it rise. Like how long? Just for our audio listeners who can't watch you fish right now, which I'm sure we'd all love to, but like what kind of rhythm would you like reeling in nice and slow, and then you'd pause for what, like a count of 2-3 seconds, and then reel in for another like 3-4 seconds? Like what kind of speed are you going at here?
Yeah, so like depending on if you're using a slow float or like an X wrap, which suspends, you're gonna reel up so your line's tight on the jerkbait, and you're gonna either crank it down a few cranks so that it goes down a few feet, or you can just start twitching right off the bat, whatever you want to do. But let's say you crank it down a few feet, then just start twitching, and as you're twitching, after cranking it down a few feet, it'll keep going down into the zone, right? Mm-hmm. And then kind of imagine that halfway through your cast, you want it to be all the way down. So, I mean, if you get a full cast with it, you have enough line on your reel and you get a nice clean cast with the bait, it'll go down to its desired depth, depending on what bait you're using, right? Like the little X70s, they'll go down about 5 feet. That time of year, usually that's all you need. I mean, there are circumstances where maybe you got to go deeper, and then maybe the jerkbait isn't what you should be throwing, right? Most of the time, that time of year, that's what I catch them on, is a little jerkbait. I was playing with the crankbaits last year too, but the jerkbait is my bread and butter that time of year,
Yeah.
And that little X70 is just the one that I've grown to like a lot because of its little slow float action. You can catch them on that right through. They will eat that too, like in the spawn, because you can do it in the shallows. Twitch down a little bit, let it come up, right? And fish it in like 2 feet, 3 feet of water, shallow stuff. Slow float action helps for that. The one other thing I will say for anybody listening who wants to try this is when you're using a small jerkbait like that, you do want to run at least a different leader line instead of your normal jerkbait setup that you might be using. Say you're, my jerkbait, I have 10-pound fluoro for my leader. That's when I'm bass fishing or using it for walleye, right? When I'm crappie fishing, I'm using 5-pound for my jerkbait crankbait leader. Now, I still use the same rod I'm using for jerkbaits because, I have it's a nice jerkbait rod. So it does help me work the small baits, but use that light spinning rod you have, or whatever the lightest rod is. Maybe you have a light or an ultralight crappie rod, and you can actually use that instead. And again, use whatever line you have on it for braid, but the leader is what you should downsize, just so that the fluoro, if you have a 10-pound fluoro on one of these little jerk baits, you're not going to get everything out of that little bait that you want to get out of it. You may overwork the bait with that heavier line. So that's kind of where it comes down to thinking about, okay, if I'm downsizing the bait, I got to downsize some more of my tackle in order for it to perform right.
I know crappie fishing for me is one of those things where as much information as I could get on it and reminders and little tips, I think anyone out there who's done crappie fishing would like anything to get more crappie in the boat.
Yeah, they're definitely fickle fish, and they're hard to find at times. For most people. We get a lot of people ask us for certain episodes, and crappie is one of the ones where people are like, do a crappie episode, I have no idea what I'm doing. And I'm like, neither do I.
Yeah. And we got to see a lot of what Bobby was talking about here, because we went fishing with them in this past spring with Jesse, myself, and our buddy Norm as well. And we chartered. we guided a day with Bobby, and he got us on some nice crappie. And again, to see like firsthand and have him teach you in the boat is fantastic. That's kind of a common theme of anytime you get a chance to go with a guide, do it. It's awesome.
Yeah. And again, we know it's not cheap to go with a guide. Mm-hmm. But if you can do it maybe once a year, save up, bring your buddies, split it with your buddies, you do learn a lot. It is definitely worth it. And we're guys, we work during the week. We work on the weekends too sometimes. So you may not be able to get fishing as much as you want. So when you do get out, it's nice to have like some intel as to what you're doing on a specific lake or for a specific species, because that could take years to figure out, or you could learn years worth of trial and error in one day with a guide.
Yeah. So and a lot of that is completely transferable to take to another body of water.
Yeah. So definitely, if you're, again, it's all in the show notes below. Check out Bobby Belmonte to be
To
be guiding service. 2 B's for Bobby Beaumonte. And also to be fishing because he wants to be fishing. Anyway, I'm almost 100% sure he's going to be at CanCast. So if you are going to come to CanCast, which again is Canada's biggest fishing show.
You got me excited now, CanCast.
Don't talk about it yet. We're going to talk about that next episode or something like that. But yeah, he's going to be at CanCast. So if you do see him, he has a table set up. You can go and talk to him. And yeah, tell him that we sent you. And then he'll throw you out.
In the meantime, we're going to our next little clip. And we had another guest we've had on. I think this was his second time on the show.
Yep.
And he's a really fun guy to have on. He's
high energy.
High energy.
Yeah.
If you see him out on, walking the creeks or out at
on the pier,
on the pier or in a store, go say hi to him.
Yes.
You'll have a blast talking to this guy. This is Angling Art.
These are my favorite. These are moonshines. They glow really well. This is probably one of my favorite spoons to toss while shore fishing or pier fishing for salmon, especially at night, dusk or dawn. They glow really well. They cast really well too. They're pretty heavy. Yeah, exactly. I call that one the alien. But yeah, those are amazing. You can just start off with those. Second would be, I guess, this one. This is my, I think, second favorite. And you guys already, I know Jesse has one. I know you have one. This guy right here. This guy's probably, so it's by Rapala or just any type of jointed body bait. I think Storm makes some too. But yeah, any type of body bait. You could even do, what's it called? Like lipless crank baits, stuff like that. But so this is, yeah. This guy right here. Right here. Me and Jesse are on the same boat.
And of course, what color? Fire Tiger.
Fire Tiger.
Others we've had good success on like orange, on blue, and
100%.
Clowny.
So those are definitely these are my. And then lastly, I'm okay with showing this bait because it's discontinued. So it's like it's not even a secret, but this bait right here.
Okay.
This bait is by Live Target. It's banana bait. And so basically what you're looking for, they sell this type of bait too, but not specifically this one. But you're looking for like a one that wobbles. A lot of walleye guys use this on the boat. A lot of charter guys also use this for salmon, for coho, stuff like that. So this is probably one of my favorite baits to toss. Yeah. They don't sell these anymore, guys. Unfortunately,
I've been fishing a long time.
Anybody watching these are by Live Target. They got bought out by Mustad. And they don't make these anymore. So if you ever see a guy tossing one of these, offer them like $50, $80 to buy one because I've got offers literally on the pier. They're like, yo, let me buy that from you. And I'm like, hell no, man.
You want to see an old lure that people have wanted to buy from me? Remember these?
Yes, I have those too. I have a silver
the
one.
Rebel Fast Tracks.
Yes.
Yeah.
So anything with like a banana style, anything with a wobble, anything that has a joint, something to just piss them off, to get that sense of aggression from them to chase them, right? So back what I said. So we have spoons, we have lipless cranks, and then we have body baits or jointed baits. So I think those are some of the three best lures that you can toss for casting for salmon.
Yeah, so always a pleasure talking to Arthur. He's a cool guy.
Mm-hmm.
I like him, yeah. I've never actually fished with the guy. I've seen him down the creek many times, and usually he's just whacking fish, as Ryan would say. But the guy's an absolute weapon. And again, they just started their steelhead brand, that Bounty tackle or Bounty beads. I don't know. It's Bounty something. I'll link it below. But he sells all kinds of cool stuff. If you're one of those guys or girls that fishes the rivers or fishes, steelhead or salmon off the piers, lots of cool little, he has that little like spoon wallet and stuff that's cool that I've never seen before. It's super cool.
He's been putting a lot of effort into his social media too. He's been posting like crazy, and some of them are pretty humorous.
Yeah,
you'll get a sense of his sense of humor pretty quick.
Yeah, I'll put a link below for his Instagram because it's quality content. Yeah. He has more followers than me, so I mean, it must be good. It doesn't take much, but so what the next episode was one that I know Andrew's really excited about.
Yes, yeah.
I was more like, just kidding. I was excited too, but
we're going from catching salmon, which I know many people love to eat, to talking to a guy about eating a bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Well, still fish, but delicious fish.
Yeah, pretty much. You can use the back of your knife to flip your fillet knife around. Just use that. Yeah. Really, anything with a good solid edge, it's going to take them off. The scales aren't on there very hard, I guess, or it's pretty easy to take them off once you get going.
I'm surprised because you go against the grain with it, and they start popping off. So it can be messy. So just be prepared for that if you're indoors.
Yes, don't do it indoors. don't do it indoors.
Better tip. Don't do it indoors at all.
Yeah. Do it in a bucket or at the lake, like on the shore or something where there's lots of water available.
Andrew knows that from experience. Remember that time your dad found one perch scale like underneath the fridge?
Yep. I was
not
supposed to
fillet the fish in the house, but it was like minus 30 outside.
Yeah.
And Andrew's like, "We'll just do it and clean up really good." And we thought we cleaned up so good. And his dad came home. He's looking around. He finds this one scale on the floor. And he's like, "What did you guys do?"
Oh, I was in so much trouble for that.
I wasn't.
We cleaned up. It was just like one. It was nothing.
I know.
Oh, well. Love you, Dad. When it comes to cleaning the fish, do you bleed your fish? And what method, if you do, what method do you use?
I do recommend doing it. It will make the flesh taste a lot better. It'll get rid of the gamey taste, so-called, as people like to say. It just ensures your fish will stay fresh as well. There's two kinds. Like, you can do gill popping, which is just sticking your finger in there and ripping them. I usually do that on like brook trout, whitefish, smaller fish. And on bigger fish, you can actually just cut one of the gills, cut one or two with a knife or a pair of scissors or something. And then I put them back in the live well. It seems cruel, but they're still alive. But you want them to stay alive so the heart keeps pumping the blood out. And it will make a mess in your live well, don't get me wrong. But the fish will be much better, in my opinion.
So yeah, I agree. I think it's important. It's just like hunting. You know, someone is squeamish. Maybe you don't keep fish at all. That's fine. Sometimes you can even like knock them out. They're still alive, but you can still pop their gills at that point too. And that way they're at least like unconscious while still their heart's still going. So again, if you are conscious of that, but again, the purpose is to eat these fish as well. It's almost time again to start filleting fish in my dad's house.
Yeah, Andrew. He's going to get a spanking.
I can't wait actually to get some good perch fillets on the ice this year.
Yeah.
I'm hungry now.
Yeah.
We're recording too late. I'm starving.
It's true. That was a great episode. Check out this guy's Instagram though. He has some of the coolest meals that he makes out. Just like he'll be out somewhere up. I don't know. He lives up near Nipissing or something like that. But he'll have like just the craziest meals that he'll catch like a bunch of walleye and he'll make like, it looks like something you'd serve in like a 5-star resort. And he's just like in an aluminum boat on the side of a lake cooking on rocks. It's like ceviche, walleye with lemon zested pepper flake chips. I'm like, what? Meanwhile, I'm just eating old macaroni and cheese.
I'm like, can of cold chili. My favorite.
Definitely a great episode too. Check that one out because he talks not just about flaying fish, but the proper way to do it so that your fish tastes the best. And then he also goes into a bunch of like cool recipe ideas as well. So definitely a cool one.
Even preserving the meat too was really good points from him.
Yeah. So the next episode that we're going to look at right now is we had on our guest, Krista Tosco. Now, if you're not familiar with who Krista Tosco is, he is a very skilled angler. He is high ranking in the kayak bass scene. Again, we're not really up with the kayak bass scene. I don't know who the heck half these guys are, but they're all hammers. And Krista Tosco is one of the guys at the top. I think he won Angler of the Year a few years ago. He is a weapon. I follow him on Instagram and he's just whacking fish all the time.
He's so humble though too, because you bring it up, he's like, yeah, I don't know. He's humble about it.
I knew about Chris for a while. I've never actually met him. So when we actually ended up talking to him, I'm like, he's a super nice guy. Yeah. Also very fishy. And then we ended up actually fishing with him after this episode. This episode is all about bass fishing in the fall, but we ended up going salmon fishing and he was in his kayak and we were in our canoe, but we'll tell you the story after this clip. It makes me cringe. He's going to be mad that I'm going to tell this, but anyway, stay tuned for that.
A very simple guy and I would just throw a Senko everywhere.
What color?
Green pumpkin, anything green pumpkin. And the worst part is guys, like my buddies will be successful with like the black and blue flake or whatever. I throw it, I can't catch crap. And they throw it and they catch giants. And I'm like scratching myself on the head, like how?
Jesse does well on bubblegum pink. And I'm just like,
when it's cloudy, that's about it.
But
yeah,
when I started bass fishing out of a boat, no word of a lie, Jesse, I threw the pink everywhere. And I mean everywhere, under the docks, onto the rocks, onto the weeds. And that's all I threw. And I caught a lot of fish. And then I started fishing with guys that they were a lot more successful in bass tournaments. So I started copying what they were using. And that's what started happening. Like I can take a Senko and place it anywhere you want with a quarter size hole. I can put it in there. I know it sounds a little bit weird, but it's big fish they live everywhere in the lake. but a lot of them do live where the structure is, because I think that's where their ambush point is. So if you find structure, aka weed, points, rocks, fish like to live on rocks. Those are very important too. Unless that rock has already been fished 100 times, you won't find a fish there. But if it's a random rock that you just found by accident, and there's very likely a fish that owns that rock.
Fish relate to the most random things. Like you'll be going along and then all of a sudden there's just like a random rock in a bunch of weeds and there's a fish there. When you're looking for fish, a lot of the water you fish looks exactly the same. It'll just be like a lot of weeds, an expanse of this. If you ever find anything different, like a point, like you said, or a rock, or like a log that's inside of the weeds as well, fish relate to random things like that. Whatever in their brain that makes them happy when they find a little thing. Remember that like classic photo of the bass in the swimming pool?
Yes.
It was in the old fishing books, and they had a rock and all the bass went near the rock, and then they had like a painted black line on the side of the pool, and all the bass went to the side with the line painted on the side. It just shows you how much that it's in their brain just to relate to things, even if it makes absolutely no sense. So if you ever see a black line painted in your local lake, make sure you check a pink Senko at it.
I'm telling you, that's how I look for structure, what you just said. Like if it's, the whole shoreline, you see it's all sand, and you see white, like just right across or whatever, the lighter color. And then you see that dark stripe, like maybe a weed patch, or I don't know what it is, but it's something different. That's where my eyes are going, and that's where I'm casting across, because maybe something lives on that. I don't know. Most of the time, to be honest, I wouldn't say most of the time, but probably 50-50, which is not a zero. There's something there. So I kind of throw at that.
That was a blast talking to him here. But yeah, going back to salmon fishing with this guy, like he's knowledgeable. He likes his bougie gear.
Yeah.
That's you have to understand that before we tell the story.
Yeah. So the story is, it was late August, and I said to Andrew, I was like, dude, it's supposed to rain. It's the first rain of late summer. And when that happens, there's all these fish, big Chinooks, staging, going, ready to go up the creeks. And they're all in the, the river mouths. And it was the first rain, and it was about to dump. And it was, I said to Chris Tosco, I was like, hey, want to go fishing tonight? Because we kind of were like, well, wait till it rains. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm already there. I've already caught 4. And I was like, no, he's like, dude, the bite is insane. You got to get down there. So I threw the sports pile on top of the car, and I got down there. I was loading up. Andrew was still at work, and he was trying to get off. And I get down there, and dude, on my first cast, I smoked one. On my second cast, I smoked one. They were in there thick, and they were biting everything. It was like the craziest bite window I've ever had.
I got there right as the bite ended.
Yeah. I felt bad because Tosco, I think he caught like 8 or 9 that day. It was insane. Yeah. And in like the first, I'd say 45 minutes, I actually landed like 4 or 5, but I had hooked so many more. They were so powerful. I was bending out split rings. Like these fish were fresh, and there was like a bunch of people in the harbor, and everyone was hooked up. Like It was an insane thing. But anyway, I'm fishing, and I look over into Tosco. He's getting pulled around by a big Chinook in his kayak. And he doesn't have like a big salmon rod. It's just like a bass size spinning rod and reel. Maybe it was a high-end combo anyway.
Oh, yeah.
It was a high-end combo anyway. He was fishing that, and he had the fish right beside the boat, and he was kind of like, had his rod on his lap, and he was kind of doing that. And all of a sudden, I hear him just be like, no! And I look over, and I was like, what? What happened? Did he snap his rod? Like, nope. His whole combo went into the drink in 30 feet of water. So I felt so bad for him. And he was like, oh, crap. And he's using his live scope, and he's looking down. He's like, I can see it on live scope.
You see like the whole thing. Again, that's another good thing with live scope, but also frustrating is he could see exactly where and what his target was, but couldn't get it.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. He did not get it back, so it's still floating down there. If you ever catch it, make sure to give it back to Chris. But just talking a little bit about this episode clip that we had, I think that episode was great because it hit the nail on the head that you don't have to do anything crazy. Mm-hmm. Like fancy gear aside, like the techniques he was talking about, like he was like, I'm just going to fish a stick bait. Why wouldn't you just fish a stick bait? Like it's the most effective thing. It catches the most fish. It's the simplest thing. And the whole episode, he was just like, no, like we're going to keep it simple. This is how you do it. It works. Why complicate it? And I really like that, except for, having complicated gear and dropping it in the water, blah, blah, blah. But the actual, the info about the bass fishing techniques that actually are just the essential ones to learn, I thought it was really good.
It's a good reminder. Jesse and I were even talking just yesterday, actually. And, you know, what do you want to use next year? This is, again, even off air, all Jesse and I talk about primarily is fishing. So
Yeah.
we were driving in the truck, and I was like, oh, like next year, what are your plans for what you're going to use? And both of us, it's like, go back to, again, we say it pretty much every year, but like, I want to go back to basics. And one thing that I haven't thrown in years is a Senko. And it's because it's like, I want to catch fish and what I want to catch them on. I'm like, you know what? This next year, I just want to catch a bunch of fish. Senko's coming back into the running.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that was a great episode. Again, Tatasco's a nice guy. If you ever see him again, if you see him in the tackle shop or you see him down at the creek, he does a lot of bank fishing around Durham region. Definitely go say hi to him. He'll talk your leg off for sure.
And we're going to move on from, you know, seeing Chris Tatasco on the water is kind of a rare sight because he fishes some cool stuff. But for you to be lucky enough and fortunate enough to see him is impressive. We're going to talk about now, or play a clip about something that's even more rare to find on the water. That's right. It's creatures that don't exist. So the next one is Thetis Lake Monster in Victoria, British Columbia. Now this is a cool one because, again, we always talk about sea monsters as being serpents. This one is a humanoid creature with silver scales, webbed hands, sharp claws, and large yellow eyes. This is the kind of thing that like would freak me out if I saw it. Like fishing, I get freaked out when I go fishing and there's like some weirdo just standing on the bank, you know, he's like, hey, what are you doing? And he just looks weird, you know, as a small dog that's yapping too loud. It's like that kind of creeps me out. I hate that.
Yeah.
Seeing like one of these, I'm like, ooh. So on August 17th, 1972, two teenagers swam, big mistake, in Thetis Lake when a scaled creature lunged from the water, clawing one boy's hand before vanishing. 4 days later, the boys reported seeing it again, this time watching silently from the shallows. That gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like anytime I think of like human eyes underwater, like looking out, like I think Jesse and I were talking about that. We were fishing at night for salmon, and I can't find the video, but there's like a video of, I don't know, it's a harbor seal or a leopard seal or something on a dock, and the guy's like looking into the water, and it's like seal eyes just looking up, but they look human. And it's so creepy.
I just love the word heebie-jeebies. That's the
So police investigated, but found no evidence, though official reports confirmed the boys' claims. I don't understand that, but okay.
How did they confirm it?
I know. They just told the local paper, like, well, they said it was there, so. Skeptics suggest a hoax or a large fish mistaken in fear. Yet the incident remains one of Canada's most famous cryptid stories. Even now, curious swimmers sometimes report yellow eyes staring from beneath the surface.
Those are called walleye, sir.
That's the thing. Like, it was some like monster walleye, like a 35-inch walleye that just grabbed this kid's hand.
Yeah, why not?
It's like, yeah, I could see that.
Don't tell me there's not one psychopath giant walleye that just has nothing left to lose. Absolutely. They have glowing eyes.
Terrifying.
Yeah. You know what? Those lore episodes, I think that was lore episode 7.
We've done a few.
It's 7. Yeah.
It's like, no, it's 7.
It's either 5 or 7, not sure. But usually we do, I think it's 7 because we usually do about 2 a year. And a lot of people enjoy them. We like doing them. They're always based on like stuff in Canada.
We try to, yeah.
So it's pretty funny. But they're funny because Andrew always seems to find the most ridiculous ones to make me read. But if you want to listen to the crazy ones he made me read, definitely check out that full episode because I thought it was pretty good. So,
of all the things that we've talked about in the previous lore episodes and previous seasons, what creature stands out the most to you, Jesse?
You know what? They're all weird, but I think it was probably not from that episode. I think it was like the one before that. Remember we talked about, what was that, like the force of the dead or something?
The kids in the forest? Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. I'm like, that's so weird.
That's so creepy. It's like, oh, if you hear kids calling out in the forest.
I think that was like Michigan or something like that.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I'm not going to save them. I'm going to drive my boat back to shore and run for my life. It's actually kids needing help. I'm like, I don't care. Can't risk it. Anyway, speaking of mythical beasts with big teeth, we actually have this episode that we did It was maybe like late summer. We talked with Travis Kawartha Fishing Charters. It's actually someone that I fished with more than a few times. And every time that I get to fish with him, he asks me, he's like, hey, you want to go fishing? I have a free day. Or he'll be like, I'm just zooming around the lake looking at my spots before the main guiding season starts. So he'll take me out and, we'll do some fishing. And every time he's like, can Andrew make it? Every time Andrew can't make it. So it's been 2 or 3 trips. And then finally, he's like, the next trip we do, Andrew has to come. Like, we have to pick a day that he can come. And I was like, yeah, I agree.
And I was on call and I had to get it covered because I need to go.
It was worth it. But we'll talk about our last trip because actually we haven't talked at all on the podcast about our last Musky trip of the year, which was in late November because we pre-recorded a few episodes. So,
No. It was December, early December.
It was the last day of November. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But still, like, we haven't talked about it. So it was a good day. We'll talk about that after this. But yeah, Travis is a super down-to-earth, chill guy, and he knows how to catch muskie and other fish. But listen to this. This is a funny story, and this story should teach you to be careful with muskie.
Long pliers, jaw spreaders, and hook cutters. That is the 3 must needs. Absolutely. And I will show you why. So I was just trolling around for muskie. This was early summer or whatever. And I trolled around for an hour. I was just heading back to the boat launch. Boom, fish hits. So I get in the net. I'm out there with my dog and by myself. So the fish hits. I get it in the net. So I got my pliers right underneath me. Hook cutters were at the front. So I'm taking this fish off. I got my hands in the gills and I got my short pliers. Not doing that anymore. The fish kicks. The 5/0 hook goes in my finger, just the top of my knuckle. It goes in and then right back out again, still connected to the fish. The pliers are tangled in the net. I asked my dog if he would bring me the pliers. He wasn't listening. He was just kind of looking at me funny, like, what are you doing? I'm sitting there and I'm stranded. I'm handless, right? I'm holding the bait that the fish is still attached to. And I'm just kind of looking around. I'm like, hey, what am I going to do here? And it thrashed around a couple times. I'm like, oh my gosh, like just holding it. So I just went 3, 2, 1, and I just cranked it out. I don't know if it was adrenaline or that hole got super stretched out from it thrashing, but it came out super easy. And I was very happy because I'm thinking, like, what am I going to do? Like, am I going to have to punch this fish in the head or something? Mike Tyson him or something?
Oh. I'm so glad that I did get to go on this last fall trip because as you can tell, Travis knows what he's talking about. He's also got some amazing experiences. If you go with him, you'll probably get your own amazing experiences like we had.
Yeah, because I'll let you know, like I've talked about this in the podcast before, but last year I went December 7th with him and I was very skeptical of muskie fishing. We caught 5 muskie that day and missed 2 other ones. And I was like, this is insane. He's like, no, man, this is the best time of year to go. So this year he said, let's go again. Let's go. And the time last year we went, it was snowing. There was ice on the rods. There's ice around the boat launch. This year we went the last day of November and it was snowing. It was super windy.
There's a big dump of snow.
It was like a blizzard.
Yep.
And we were like, oh man, he's like, dude, this is great. This is great. And we were fishing and the weather was not cold enough to freeze our lines, but cold enough that there was a lot of snow blowing. We got some pretty epic shots of like just snow coming down Andrew holding muskie. We ended up boating 5 fish.
Yep.
And Andrew had a giant follow. I missed one. I think, 5 fish. I think if we had caught the ones that had followed, it would have been 7 fish. Like it was an insane day. I caught 3, Andrew caught 2.
Mm-hmm.
What'd you catch yours on?
I caught all mine on the beaver, and I had that big follow all on the big beaver bait.
Yeah,
and that worked really well for a nice fall slow presentation.
Yep, and I caught my first one on my Chaos Tackle Shum, the Slim Shum glide bait, and then the 2 other ones I caught on my Navin. I know if you listen to the last episode, the top lures of 2025, I was like, oh, I want to catch a fish on that 10-inch Navin dive and rise bait. And I don't know why I haven't caught anything. I caught 2 on that bait on that day with Travis. So I'm happy I got to carve 2 little lines on the top of that bait. But yeah, I'll tell you, Travis knows where the muskie are. Like we were fishing and he'd be like, okay, this is the spot. And he's like, this is the spot on the spot. And he's like, cast right there. And you cast out there and boom, muskie. It's like, dude, he knows.
It was impressive, the knowledge he had.
Yeah.
And I loved his story too about, having that muskie in the line. Speaking of punching things in the head, next up, we're going to be talking about Dave Mercer, a guy who is I would have to say is my favorite episode that we recorded.
Yes.
We were laughing the entire time. He's an absolute gem of a human being, but obviously very knowledgeable, tons of experience on the water. And it was so much fun to record it and also to keep listening to it. It's probably my most played episode personally.
Yeah, and it was a lot to edit this one. Anyway, listen to this. And pitching is when you do a quick underhand cast, which gives you a lot more range. Fairly accurate too, not as stealthy. So that's the difference. But they're pretty much used like interchangeably now, I guess you could say. And I'm not going to be one of those guys that gets mad and say, know the difference. Doesn't matter. It's fishing.
Do people get mad?
Oh, yeah.
Like how mad? Like pineapple on pizza mad or?
Oh, pretty close. Almost walleye and pickerel mad.
Oh, that's... I mean, to a lot of the world, nobody cares. But to that one dude, how freaking dare you even think that is a walleye or a pickerel? Yeah. So, hey, the old thing about flipping and pitching too is that was an evolution. Flipping, when it first came in, as weird as it is, because you see a lot of this around like forward-facing sonar and things like that, where people are like, oh, that should be illegal in tournaments. And, you know, that's another thing, like pineapples on pizza. There's people on both sides of that, obviously. But flipping at one time, D. Thomas was kind of the dude, one of the main people who invented it. And at one time, they wanted to make it illegal because you were accessing these bass that had never, ever seen a bait before. And that's your traditional underhand flipping. And then it did evolve in time to pitching because pitching just wasn't as accurate initially. And now our equipment's better. But yeah, that was a whole evolution. There was one time there was flipping and there was no pitching. And then somebody said, hey, let me take this underhand roll cast and we'll just call it pitching. But D. Thomas and several others, Ken Glebe, they were West Coast pros who introduced it to the East Coast, and they won a bunch of tournaments initially. They tried to outlaw their rods because they were using longer rods than anybody, and that's why there's an actual length of rod rule in bass tournaments because of that. There's a little fact for you.
People always get mad when someone invents a better way to catch fish.
They do.
That's a good fact of fishing. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah.
He said the thing.
I dislike that name. Just picked it because it rhymed, really. But here's what I do know in life. No matter what if you're lucky enough to end up with a fishing show, which it has all been 100% luck, trust me, you're going to hate the name, whatever you call it. You know what I mean? Like just Facts of Fishing. I mean, at the time I was like, this is great. It's Facts of Fishing. And there's some of our shows where you don't learn a fact at all. But here's the cool thing about that name. And I didn't know this when I first named it. Growing up, I loved Bob Azumi, obviously. Everybody loves Bob Azumi. Mm-hmm. I was a huge Al Linder fan, a huge In Fisherman fan. I mean, I think all of us can agree. You know what I mean? Those were kind of the northern guys that spoke for us. And the crazy thing is the original name of In Fisherman, and I did not know this when I called the show that, is Facts of Fishing. And really? There's pictures, if you search it up, there's pictures around where you can see the Linders holding walleye most likely off the side of their boat, and it says Facts of Fishing on it. And me and Al have talked about it a few times, and he promises that he's going to sign me one of those and send it to me so I can hang it in my office. And hey, it's June now. Maybe I've got it by now. Let's just assume. Hey, Al, thanks for the picture. Really nice. Love it. Sets the office off perfectly.
I'm having too much fun on this one.
This is going to be hard to keep to an hour.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop talking. I'll go back to that awkward section when you were given the facts and I was just staring at the camera wondering what I was supposed to do.
Yeah. I would say, though, like Andrew said, I don't listen to the episodes that often. Everyone asks me, they're like, do you listen to the episodes? I'm like, when I edit it 3 times, I listen to it 3 times. Like I go through the episode very slowly and edit out all the ums and ahs and the boring parts. So I pretty much memorize all the podcasts. So I don't really listen to the episodes after they come out. I used to, but this one I did multiple times because it's so entertaining. This episode was hilarious. Again, Dave Mercer, he's like the face of bass fishing.
Yeah.
And he just happens to live in Durham region in Ontario. So that's amazing. Like you see him out there on doing the Bassmaster MC and you're like, oh, this guy's probably American. Nope, this guy, he lives in Durham region. And that's great. It's nice to know that, some guy that fishes the same water that we fish, that's him. He's one of the most influential influential persons in bass fishing, or even in the fishing industry, I would say.
Yeah, extremely recognizable because, again, he not only has his stuff that he does on the pro series, like Jesse is saying, he's fished tournaments himself.
Yeah.
He's the MC for the biggest fishing tournament in the world. And then he also has his YouTube channel. He's got his social media. He's got his podcast. He's got
His
the
fishing
Facts
show.
of Fishing, the fishing show.
Yeah.
Like he has done pretty much everything you could when it comes to speaking about fishing and getting people into it. So that's awesome to be able to have him as a guest on this podcast.
Yeah. And I'd say one thing, I guess we didn't really talk on the podcast because we don't usually go into details of like, the recruiting process or like getting guests on. But Dave Mercer, he messaged us and he said, if there's anything I can do for you guys, let me know. And I was like what? I was like, you'd be on the podcast? He's like, absolutely. But he's just a genuine human being.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever see him at a fishing store or like in a tournament or something like that, unless he's fishing, stay away. Don't bug him. But if you ever see him, go talk to him. He is a genuine human being. He just loves fishing and he loves people. So highly recommend it. Anyway, those were our kind of top picks. I don't know how many there were, maybe like 8 or 10 of them. Some of the best parts of some episodes, but it was really hard to pick.
Mm-hmm.
Like we had, a lot of episodes last year, like 2 every month. So like 24 episodes, 23 anyway, to go through. But it was hard to pick. If we had a clip from every episode, which I feel like every episode was good, it would have been like a 5-hour long podcast, which I'm not editing that.
If you want more of the highlights, the entire episodes are highlights. Go listen to them all again. Come on, get our numbers up there, please.
Yeah. And we would just like to say it's been a heck of a year, 2025. I hope that you've learned something this year, or at least you were entertained on your way to work. I get so many people message us and say, you know what? We love the podcast. Don't ever stop. We learned so much. You got me back into fishing. I learned a new technique. I caught my PB, all that stuff. Send us those messages. We love seeing that. We love helping you guys and girls do those things. But you know what? We're just normal average guys, right? We're learning on these podcasts too. So don't even think like for a second that you can't do something in the fishing. You can do whatever you want. You can learn anything. Like, look at me and Andrew. We're literally the dumbest people I know. And yet we've learned how to fish at a reasonable way, I'd say.
Yeah, Jesse thankfully edits out, there we go. He edits out all the times that I sound extremely stupid.
Yeah.
So if you think I sound like a little slow and dumb on the podcast, you're only getting the highlights of me. I'm far worse.
So anyway, we do have big news for our next episode, which is the first episode of season 4. And there is a big change coming to the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Huge change. In fact, it's a little bit sad.
Yeah.
It's sad because we can't even, I'm going to make you guys wait for 2 weeks to hear it, but it's a little bit sad, but it's not bad news, right?
Yeah. It's sad only if you are extremely nostalgic, but if you just stick with it, you're going to realize that this is not anything to be scared of.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll leave that with you. We hope that you guys have an amazing 2026. And again, as always, don't listen to Andrew if he tries to go through your tackle box and steal your lures. Just give them to me instead.
But before we end, I just want to say again, as Jesse has already kind of brought out, big thanks to everyone who has, listened through this year. Maybe you're one of the people like myself who loves to just binge episodes as soon as, a season is done. So if so, you made it to the end of this one again. But thank you for everyone who listens. If you haven't had a chance yet to leave a review, or like she says, let us know if we've helped you, or if you'd appreciate something specifically on the show. Any of that feedback is we love to get. So if you haven't had the opportunity, please do so. We also have a Patreon if you do want to support the show monetarily in that way as well. But before we end, we can't stop with tradition. We have the quote of the week. And to handle that is Jesse, who's sweating buckets right now because he did not think of this.
I was actually going to say, this is actually the quote of the year. The quote of the year is, never stop learning.
Oh, I thought it was going to be, hey, would you ever think we would have gotten here?
Nope.